So hi, so here this part I will focus on the hardware, how it can be modeled. Why I am mentioning this is, if you want to measure running time of a program, of course you can write the program, analyze it on a specific hardware, run it for different input size, then plot the chart like for different values of the input. But the factor here is that the input may not be just a value of n, like input parameter could be multiple values. For example, if it is a matrix, two-dimensional matrix, it will be number of columns and number of rows, m into n. If it is a graph, it will be number of edges and number of vertices. So based on the algorithm, different parameters can come. So you should have an intuition of the computer memory and computer, how the program is, what the program is about with respect to a specific computer model. It's a model, so it's not typically a specific computer. So you have done C programming lab in first year and your laptop had multi-core CPU. Then I have a question to you. When you run the C program, whether you were using all the cores or one core, means the program, when your program was running, it was running on all the cores on a single core. Have you thought about it? I don't know. At least some might have thought and some may have answered. The answer is, you have used only one core. You have used for loops, you have used while loop. The number of iterations in a for loop may be high, but in all these cases, the program was written in such a way that it is using only a single core. What core? That is decided by the operating system or the system software. So here, why the computer model should be abstracted is, you should have an intuition about how the program is executed and how the theoretically, when you specify a running time, how it relates to practical way. Like when you say running time is n square and another program which for the same, or you have two algorithms for a given problem. One algorithm found theoretically n square, other algorithm found theoretically n, like where n is the input parameter, it could be array size, or if the processing is on array, then obviously whichever machine you execute, the theoretical value n square means whichever machine you run that program. Like you have an algorithm, you write a C program for that algorithm. When you run, you get a running time for the one which has n square as a running time, and the other which has n as running time. So what I am mentioning is, you have a problem you want to solve. So you have two variants of that algorithms problem solutions. One is say algo 1, second is algo 2. And from analyzing the algorithm I will again emphasize, it's not any programming language, independent of programming language. You find that the running time may be say n square, like C into n square. So let it be C1. And for algorithm 2, it was found to be C2 into n. This is a theoretical model where you looked at the for loops and while loops and control statements, all these things, and even algorithm can have while loops, that we will see later. So looking at the loops and things, you find that some algorithm, like algorithm 1 had n square. Why it is n square is, it may be nested inside two for loops, for I equal to 1 to n, for j equal to 1 to n, then some code. So if this, the statements in like this is n4, this is n4. So if there are some statements inside this, then this will be executing n square times. For I equal to 1, it will execute n times. I equal to 2, it will execute n times. So it will be n square times. So based on that, you find algorithm 1 has running time n square, algorithm 2 has n, because it may not have two loops. This loop may be removed. You may be wondering how this is possible, like two algorithms. It's possible because the way you write may not be efficient, because it depends upon your thought about the algorithm, the optimality of the algorithm, etc. Even the representation of the data also may be a factor, like I mentioned, graph being represented as a matrix or adjacent list. So based on this, you find that algorithm 1 may take more time compared to algorithm 1 will take more number of more time. Algorithm 1 will take more time compared to algorithm 2 because the running time is n square. So you have an intuition about the processor now. Whichever processor you take and you try to run, there will be difference in running time. For example, if one processor is taking, say, for n equal to 10, say 50, the value is 50, other may be 25. This is processor 1, P1. Is suppose this be laptop 1, this is laptop 2. When n equal to 10, the value is 50 means this is about algo 2, like C2 into n I am telling. The algo 2 takes 50, then laptop 2 it takes only 25. Then when n becomes 100, obviously it will be like somewhat around 500, this will be around 250. That increase in the value, for n equal to 1, the laptop 1 was taking 50, let it be seconds or let it be millisecond. There should be a unit for every value I am specifying. This will be millisecond. This may not be exactly like, so somewhere around 250 millisecond. The linear progress will be there. But if you take algorithm 1, you can find a quadratic progress. So you don't have to worry about laptop 1, laptop 2, laptop 3, but you have to just worry on this value. For that, we should have an intuition about what a computer is about. So I will give a rough view about computer or computer with respect to this course. So you have a processor. Okay. Processor is there, let it be processor P, you abbreviate it as P. Then you have a memory, is typically called RAM. So in that processor, there will be the program instructions. Then there will be data for the program. So this is one program which has some instructions and data for the program. The memory, remaining memory may be used for some other purpose. We don't have to bother about this. So what is the instruction with respect to processor? So, and how the RAM and processor are connected, like this is a two-way communication, like processor will fetch instructions from the memory. Each instruction may require some operands. For example, if it is add is an instruction which is available in a processor, then add will require some data, like it will be, say, a value n and value m. You have to add m and n, means m and n will be residing in this location, this like m and n will be residing in this data location. Instruction like add, that will be residing here. So processor loads the instruction, fetches the operands for that instruction, then execute the instruction. Then the result need to be stored back into the memory. So for example, if this is a high level language statement like x equal to y plus z, this C statement, I put semicolon here. Then this is a high level language statement x equal to y plus z, and when the program is compiled, it will be converted to a binary and loaded into RAM. Then when it is run, like it will be loaded into RAM and data will be there, then you execute. So when you have x equal to y plus z, you may have to, the corresponding processor instruction required may be load, this is a pseudo code for the processor, load R1 X, sorry, not X, Y, load R2 Z, then add R1 R2, then store X R1. What does it mean is, the processor has some temporary memory locations called registers, limited number of registers, where it can hold some data which will be overwritten by instructions. So you load the value, the program will be like loading the value of Y to register R1, where Y will be in this location of the memory. All X, Y, Z are in this region, like data for the program. Then load R2 to Z, that will also be loaded into the register R2. Add R1, R2 means the semantics is like R1 assigned to R1 plus R2. First you do R1 plus R2, then overwrite to the first operand R1. Then store the result available in, or store the value available in register X to the destination X. So simple high level language statement like X equal to Y plus Z may lead to this 4 processor instruction like load, add, store. Even though this X equal to Y plus Z is a simple high level language statement, when it is converted to a machine code which is understood by the processor or the real hardware, processor is the real hardware. So in the real hardware, it may require multiple instructions. Even from complexity perspective, we are not worried because load, store, all are like simple instructions which will require typically some clock cycles, like very small amount of time. So we will not be worried about that portion, but what will be worried about, how many times this will be executed, like X equal to Y plus Z. If it is inside the loop, how many times it will be executed. Inside the loop means in the pseudo code it will be like a for loop. Similarly in C program also it will be for loop. So how this is converted to a machine instruction, like what this load, add, store, all will be residing in this instruction part. Data will be residing in the data region. Then processor load the instruction and fetches the data, computes the, or do the instruction, or implement or run the instruction after fetching the operands, then store the result at finally. So how this is done, like you have a high level language statement that you have been, high level language that you have been using, like you have been using high level language C. So with respect to C, how this is converted to a machine code. So there is a component called compiler, that even you may be knowing what is a compiler. So this compiler takes a input code, your input program you can say. So let it be C compiler, or since we are doing in C, let it be C compiler input C program. From that C program can generate a, the compiler can generate a assembly code. Assembly code will have some instructions like load, store, add, etc. we have seen. Also, once that assembly code is there, you can have you need assembler, linker, loader, etc. to load the, finally the program is mapped to the program binary is loaded to RAM and executed. We will see these parts even with the GCC compiler, how this looks like, what is the assembly code, how it can be linked. Maybe you have some intuition like when you have printf function being used in C program, you have not defined the printf, but it is defined in somewhere else, and you link that printf to your code and then use it. So this compiler is a part which converts input C program to say assembly code. Then you have assembler, linker loader, etc. so that you can convert this into a binary and it can be loaded into memory and executed in the processor. Of course, whenever I mention about processor, is like it is a single processor. Even though you have multi-core CPU, whatever C programs you have done in first year lab, you are using only one core. Similarly, whatever lab you are doing, whatever experience you will be doing in this data structure lab, that will be also done in using only one core. So in the coming semesters, you will be studying more subjects like computer organization, operating systems, compiler design, etc. So that all these concepts will be more clear. Then you will have more electives based on your interest you can take. So for the data structure course, you have to just remember these parts. So whenever you say x equal to y plus z in an algorithm, it's not C code algorithm, you have to assume that this takes a constant time. The time is depending on the processor. It may be like four processor instruction, like 2 loads for y and z, or like 2 loads like y and z is loaded, then one for add operation, one store, that's like storing x. So this is a single statement, but in the processor it will be like 4 assembly instructions or 4 machine instructions. That you don't have to take care, you don't have to worry. But when it is a loop, it is inside a loop, means how many times this will be executed. That's an important parameter for the complexity analysis, like how much time the program will execute. And so you can look at the assembly instructions or in instructions in some old and microprocessor like 8086 and 8085. So it has few assembly instructions which can be used to implement this type of high level language statement. And also when you say in C there is for loop for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus some code. The for loop, like loops are not directly supported as a single instruction in a processor. You have to use something like this type of code, I equal to 0, you use a label L1, then you have some code, and here the loop code here, this is a code which is available, this is the loop code. Then I assign to I plus 1 if I less than n, go to L1. So this is like possibly in C also, using go to is a keyword in C, can put labels. So this is a typical way of the processor loop, like in the machine code the loop will be like this. You cannot have a symbol for like a single instruction which do the loop. Here I am assuming like n is greater than 0, so that it execute at least once, otherwise you have to put if I greater than n, greater than or equal to n, go to L2. So in that way, what you have to worry about is only about how many times a single high level language statement or a algorithmic statement being executed. Like if it is inside a for loop, it will be executed n times, and if it is inside two nested for loops, it will be executed n square times. But if it is inside a for loop with some condition, like if say input value with some operator, like operator means it could be less than, greater than, something like, then some value x, then how many times it will execute depends on the input. So there will be worst case and best case that we seen in the, or we saw in that FindMax example. So obviously we will be looking at the worst case, so that we consider the worst case scenario. So that's about this, how the program being stored in memory, how the compiler single high level language statement in a high level language is converted to a machine instruction in the processor. Compiler converts a single statement x equal to y plus z into the processor instructions, so that it is can be executed by the processor and you get the correct results. Also memory will be used for both instructions and data. Beyond that, you don't have to worry. You have few more courses coming in the coming semesters where these things will be more clear. So that's about computer and compiler and how it is mapped to a memory. Okay. Next, I will look at give you a brief overview of how the computer is about. That part I will be covering next.